A lot of my friends are telling me that, oh, but he was only 17, so he probably didn't know any better. But I'm like,
when you're a teenager, for sure, you know the difference between right and wrong.
I think it's kind of scary that someone who's had 3 women level these accusations at him is being nominated for a position on the Supreme Court when he's going to be in a position to make decisions about women's rights. I find that kind of terrifying.
So Brett Kavanaugh was originally nominated to be a Supreme Court justice,
which means that he'll be in the Supreme Court until he basically passes on.
He's being accused of sexually assaulting someone when he was 17 and she was 15.
There are accusations about him doing inappropriate acts to several different women.
And I think it's important to maybe reevaluate whether he is qualified to be in the Supreme Court.
I always make sure to listen to all different sides, like Republicans, Democrats, people in the middle, so that I can get like a firm decision on what's going on at the time.
It's definitely been a conversation at my school. I actually am the moderator of one of the political discussion clubs that we have, and on Friday we were talking about the hearings, and one of the boys said, well, I know at 17 you look like you're pretty old, but you're still a minor. Your brain is still developing, and your hormones are out of control. And I was just like, okay, if you're 17 in this room, can you raise your hand? And all the boys that were 17 raised their hands, and I was like, it's okay not to sexually assault people, right? And all of them were like, yeah, I know. Why is Brett Kavanaugh any different?
Even though they're not technically an adult yet, they should know what's right and what's wrong.
I know right from wrong. I'm 15 and I know no means no.
I learned that was not okay and you had to have consent before you do something.
There's a lot of talk about okay, if this is true, he was just a kid and hoopty-dipty-doo. I think even at that age, you have empathy. Empathy doesn't seem to be something that you grow into. I think at 17, it was plain to me that no meant no. You have to be very receptive to the situation around you. And I think if he can't do that at 17 or at 19, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to change throughout the course of his life.
Maybe it was 35 years ago and he was 17, but his past, that could be my tomorrow. That could be my friend's tomorrow. That could be this weekend for the friends that I have in their basement in my town. What are we saying if someone who did this is on the Supreme Court? We're saying to those boys, it's okay, you get a free pass.
Why should boys have, the opportunity, or they should have the right to be irresponsible or disrespectful just because, they're boys? So does that mean that if girls make the mistake, they have to be held accountable for it just because they're girls?
It's kind of scary thinking that a teenage boy can get away with whatever they want, because it kind of leads into the whole boys will be boys thing, which is honestly pretty terrifying to a teenage girl that has to deal with teenage boys. And I feel like people should be held accountable for their actions, no matter how old they are, for the safety of other people that age.
The statement boys will be boys is really harmful to society as a whole and not a good mindset at all, because I feel like whether you're 17 or you're 40, you know how to treat a fellow human being and you know what is or isn't acceptable. And I think the allegation against him is clearly not an okay way to treat someone.
They're old enough to be responsible for the decisions that they make, and they can't make one that huge and not suffer consequences for it.
As a teenage girl who's also 17, the age Kavanaugh was, I feel angry that the initial response is that she's lying and that she's doing it for politically motivated reasons.
There's a huge impact on women. I know that now, thinking about if I were to be sexually assaulted and if I were to come forward, that this is the way that the media has reacted, and not believing her, trying to discredit her, asking why she didn't come forward earlier. It's really discouraging. It's really sad. It makes me feel less safe as a woman.
The reason that people who are accused of sexual assault so often don't come forward is because the first question that they're asked is, well, what did you do? What were you wearing? Why did this happen to you? The blame is put on them. They did something to provoke this. And there's embarrassment and there's shame. And the fact is that women like Christine Ford aren't believed. So how are you going to come forward when you look at what's happening and you see that the women who do have the courage to come forward, who do have the bravery to say, yes, this happened to me, no, you were mixed up. I don't think that really happened to you. You're doing it for political reasons.
The only people who know for sure were the people who were there. That being said, I believe the women. I don't know why anyone would come forward and put themselves through that if it wasn't true.
Though there are several of these stories that are coming up, there has to be some kind of truth in it.
I believe the women more because a lot of victims of sexual assault later tell their stories and are not able to tell them at the time. And so even though people are saying that it's been so long, I still do believe her.
And my gut instinct is to support a victim just because from personal experience, there's not a lot more devastating than going through something rough and having people, through their actions, call you a liar. It's like being abused a second time.
I know multiple girls who have had unconsensual experiences.
When I was 12 years old, I was raped. I was going to school. I made the grave mistake of missing the school bus. I had to take the train alone. It was pretty early in the morning, so I'm not really sure how old he was, but he's probably in his early 20s. I never told anyone about what happened to me until recently. It's just a lot of stigma and shame around it.
I can't say for sure why people don't come forward, but a lot of the time it has to do with fear. And I think in my personal case, it has a lot to do with the way, as a feminine identifying person, the connotations that come with that. That if I put this out there and I'm wrong, then I really don't know what happens.
Oh, I know for a fact that they're just scared. I mean, I've known somebody who had to transfer schools because everybody in their school just denied the fact that that person would do something like that. That, oh, this guy, he's so sweet, he's so nice, he's so this, he's so that. But he wasn't in that moment.
The situation she's been put in, the situation her family's been put in, there's no going back for her. She put everything on the line to speak out for something and is being told by senators that she's mixed up or that she forgot and that this couldn't have happened because he's such a great man.
It definitely shows them that there's just no point in even trying to say something. There's no point. And it just says that this is kind of like a very male-dominated world that they just don't have a voice in. And I cannot even begin to tell you how much I disagree with that.
Why do you think these women are coming out with these allegations against him now?
I think they feel a certain way that he's up for a Supreme Court justice, and they know that he did them wrong in the past, so they feel like they should speak up and talk about it.
Because Kavanaugh is being nominated for a position where he is in the highest court of the country, and the courts are supposed to determine what is just and what is unjust. You're going to try to want to do everything that you're capable of doing.
If he has sexually assaulted the women, then he shouldn't be a Supreme Court justice, because I feel like you can't do something like that and then expect to have choices that affect the way that our nation is.
I don't think that he should be allowed to be nominated as a Supreme Court judge.
A lot of people are very set on presuming innocence despite the fact that it's not really a criminal trial, and they just would rather have him on the Supreme Court as a sexual abuser or accused sexual abuser than to have a Democrat or to have somebody else or to have a nominee that they don't prefer, which is really disappointing and it makes me very angry to hear again and again by other people that this behavior is excusable or that something else will win out. To make that less of an issue has been really hard to talk about.
I believe what we can do to change this is call whoever we need to call. We should go to wherever we need to go and figure this out and not just sit and watch it happen, We should get up and do something.
So I found that boys have been really supportive. It's nice because I feel like everyone's on the same team. We're all working towards the same goal.
If anything like sexual assault happens, please step forward. It might be a really scary thing, but it makes it so that it's easier to track if you step forward when it happens. But it's also something that's important, and you can't just let these people roam free, because if there's one allegation, they're gonna do it again.